You relate to that. Perfectly reasonable intermediary goal. And the secret, you know, the secret is not only defining your final goal, your aspiration may be to save your soul. That's a perfectly reasonable goal. Final. But the definition career-wise is very important in terms of going ahead with defining your intermediary goals. And you must know what those are. To this day, I'm a very clinically oriented physician. But when the offer came to run my first hospital, I had achieved both the experience and the qualifications that I set out to achieve, and so I was comfortable in trying to, if you will, run my own show. It was an opportunity for me to see that if I could change those things that I did not like, those things that I had tried to effect earlier from within and perhaps had not been totally successful at changing. I assure you there are frustrations at every rank. But nevertheless, it was the opportunity to do that. So that the plan that you must conjure up, this plan of career that I've been talking about, should have flexibility and should have resiliency. This will allow you to try something new in that course through life that we call a career. And at that point of decision, one will have prepared to take the new road and will recognize not only the need for oneself to pursue it, but the potential good that one can offer in that new role. As one has sought out a trusted advisor, then one becomes, for others, that same trusted advisor. I absolutely believe that the fact that the physician that runs a system of health or any medical administrative endeavor has had significant decisions and is to the benefit of everyone that works for him if he acquired early the reality that medical matters rotate around the needs of patients, and therefore he created for himself a solid clinical background. That's where you are right now, to create for yourself step one, which is the solidity of that clinical background. As medical professionals, there will be personal and systems expectations of leadership also. Leadership in environments that generally function as teams. And in many instances, you really were not trained as teams. So it is wise to prepare oneself for this eventuality through both education and experience. By the simple fact that one is a physician, one, I assure you, is not totally prepared to be the leader of heterogeneous groups of professionals in healthcare, despite what you may feel about yourself in terms of individual greatness. Medicine has a habit of putting you up, you're a senior, you graduate, and that's as high as you go in medical school, and all of a sudden you become an intern. And down you go again. And somebody picks you up and you become the chief resident, you know. And somebody wonders now in your behavior whether you think that MD stands for Medio Dios, because you're a great individual as a chief resident. And you know what happens? You finish your residency, and down you go because you become the junior staff man in the department. And it's full of these things, you know. They're very sobering. They sort of jar you a little bit, but you gotta play them in the reality of what they are. The point is that you are not suddenly endowed with the leadership of a whole host of people that have to do with the care of patients and that are not physicians. So let me share with you a basic philosophy about leading people in healthcare. And my advice in a musical analogy is that it be done with a sense of orchestration rather than following an inflexibly prescribed score. And the use of musical analogies in Fort Worth, Texas today are perfectly proper. You're indeed having a great musical experience as the Van Cliburn contest is going on. And what do I mean by a sense of orchestration? A medical team, if you're going to head one, is composed of a representative number of professions, all of which are thirsting for assertiveness, professional expression, and fulfillment. And just like in an orchestra, the trumpets must mute down at some time, and the bassoons and the violas must come up. There must be even an opportunity for solos in certain works or certain passages. And if you are to be the conductor of the team at some point, remember, the conductor is never the soloist. So understand people and give them that opportunity if indeed you're going to work in a team. That's what teamwork means in medicine. So as you progress through this career that I'm talking about, through this experience which is forever changing, forever challenging, then you will mature broadly rather than narrowly. One will be a specialist, but one will not be a specialist to become impoverished in the breadth of medicine, to be expert only in one segment of it. One will also come to the realization, particularly if you start as a generalist, as I did, that everything comes full cycle, that the system needs people who are generalists in thought, in scope, in evaluation, and in application to accept comfortably the leadership of part or all of the system. It is these individuals who have had the scientific and clinical discipline of becoming specialists, but through different experiences have come to understand the broad needs of the total system that will eventually run it. Today, there are lots of barbs aimed at the medical profession. They have to do with cost, accessibility of the system, depersonification, the use of technology, the cost of technology, the cost of malpractice, insurance costs, the absence of health insurance for over 30 million Americans. I want to put that in perspective for you because it is overwhelming to young people. It is something that I deal with every day, and let me tell you, I have to put it in perspective for myself. People talk about the crisis in medicine, their favorite theme today, and about the enemies of physicians. They vary in different writings and speeches. Sometimes they are insurance agencies, sometimes government agencies, sometimes fiscal intermediaries, and almost always lawyers. My nephew is sitting right there, and he's an attorney. And I have a son who is a lawyer. He's a major in the Judge Advocate General Corps. I assure you that he's a loving son and a loving nephew. And what do I mean by that allusion to personal things?